We're going to have 3 presentations today. We will be hearing from Fundación WWB Colombia, my colleague Ana Escobar. We are going to be hearing from Pula with my colleague Joyce Mlewa, and then finally Opportunity International. And so Lydia Baffour will be presenting that session. We'll get started now because I don't want to take up too much time. But as you will have seen from the title of this session is about products, and really thinking about products as tools for the journey, financial products and services that can empower and equip women in the face of climate change. As you are aware, climate events are impacting livelihoods across the planet, and women are seeking out different financial products and services to help them adapt to their changing realities. As Gracia Michelle said, women are already integrated. They are already dealing with these multifaceted realities where they are managing lots of different things in their lives. And this session will explore how products and services can best serve them. As I said, we've got 3 really great panelists today. They're all going to present. So Pula will talk about their work in Zambia. Opportunity International will talk about their work in Ghana. And Fundación WWB Colombia will then speak about their work in the west of Colombia. The session is going to look at how organizations have researched and implemented financial tools that really resonate with women and speak to their diverse needs, enabling them to manage their economic livelihoods as their physical environments are impacted by climatic movements. I'm not going to, I realize that we're running short on time, so I won't give an extensive introduction to each of our 3 speakers, but we'll hear from them, and then we will have an opportunity for you to ask questions. So please use the chat function and put your questions within the chat so we can get to them. Now, again, we've got interpretation at the bottom, just in case you missed it the first 3 times I said it. Then I will move swiftly over to Ana Escobar, who is the research director of Fundación WWB Colombia, and she is going to be talking about the experiences of working with a participatory research approach with marginalized communities in Colombia. So without further ado, I will hand over to Ana.
Thank you, Kathy, and hello, everyone. Today, I want to share with you what we have learned in Fundación WWB Colombia about the importance of knowledge to design financial products and services. I'm going to present 2 real cases that show the value of doing research with women and communities to understand their needs and create pertinent solutions. Fundación WWB Colombia began operations 40 years ago by lending microcredit to vulnerable women. We created a microfinance bank, Banco Awuah, and today we are the main shareholders. We were the first foundation in Latin America associated with Women's World Banking Network, and we have been part of FinEquity ILC since its beginnings. Our purpose is to close inequality gaps for women and to promote their active participation in economic development, and we fulfill this purpose by training women on personal and entrepreneurial capabilities, investing in social impact funds with a gender lens, and through the production and dissemination of knowledge. And it's some of this knowledge that I want to share with you today. So let's start by reviewing the Colombian situation on financial inclusion and climate change. In the last 10 years, Colombia has reached 90% of access to financial products by the end of 2021. However, in terms of reality, the situation resembles how the country was 10 years ago. And women, in the case of women, they are also still worse off than men, with an access gap of 6.4 in 2021 and growing. They also have a lower average amount of microcredit by $200 less than men, and they have a lower level of financial capabilities. Additionally to these financial inclusion pictures, the climate change situation in Colombia is also delicate, and women and girls are more at risk. Colombia is more inclined to suffer the consequences of the phenomenon El Niño and La Niña. These are periods of low rainfall or extreme rainfall. Studies have suggested that climate change could generate an agricultural losses for 7.4% during the last decade. And the environmental risk at Colombia is really high because most of its populations and assets are located in areas exposed to hazards such as floods, landslides, and droughts. So therefore, addressing gender and climate change and financial inclusion mechanisms in Colombia is really crucial. Next, please. But before I tell you about the two projects that I want to share with you, I want to tell you that, as we mentioned before, we work to close inequality gaps for women, and research is at the core of this journey. We conduct research ourselves, but we also promote the generation of knowledge through a research fund that we created 7 years ago. We have financed more than 80 projects in the Pacific Southwest coast of Colombia with more than $900,000 during these 7 years. And we conduct research differently. And this has led us to some unexpected lessons. We work under the principle of do no harm. We act with responsibility, respect, and integrity. We explore and understand the dynamics of the community in order to find the real needs. We push to work together, hence we involve or hire community researchers or local leaders in the projects, for example, in the gathering of data. We follow a participatory research approach as a way to understand the problems and make pertinent solutions. We promote a two-way exchange of knowledge between researchers and the community. This is rather than a top-down approach, is a bottom-up approach where we recognize and value the community's knowledge. And finally, we recognize the women's cost of opportunity while participating in these projects. For example, we provide them childcare during the research so they can participate. And some of the key findings or the lessons that we have learned doing this type of different type of research are that women saving secrets for emergencies and they don't tell their relatives. Entrepreneurial women prefer to continue their business at home to reconcile work and life and family life. So growing the business is not always a goal. Security dynamics also affect the growth of the businesses and local economy because they are afraid of extortion if the business improves, or because they have been displaced by illegal groups. On the other hand, indigenous communities are more reluctant to financial education than other communities, but they are okay, for example, with reproductive rights education. And finally, we encounter that women often create care networks, maybe for childcare or exchange of goods and services, and this can lead to the creation of collaborative ventures. Next, please. And now I'm gonna highlight these two projects regarding women and climate change and the lessons that we have transmitted to the Banco WWB. These projects are in two different cities of Colombia. Tumaco is a really vulnerable region forgotten by the government. Its population is mainly Afro-descendants and indigenous people. Natural disasters and security dynamics generate large scale displacement of many villagers, and this had led to a city really overcrowded. And on the other hand, Jamundí is a city close to Cali, one of the main capitals of the country. It has several rivers that go through the city and the rural areas, and the principal environmental risk are floods. So these are two different types of cities or ruralities in Colombia with a very different situation in terms of vulnerability, and therefore the financial solutions could be different. Next, please. The first project that we financed was it was in Tumaco, and attempted to develop a decision-making system for coastal management to promote preventive actions against possible emergencies caused by climate change. During this project, women were training data collection techniques And they also became more aware of erosion situations, mangrove loss, and the poor quality of water. And the 3 main lessons that we shared with the bank here were: make financial solutions accessible by light mobile banking apps, or even by developing offline possibilities, since these territories have zero or reduced connectivity. Make them affordable. Women tend to rely more on savings accounts than credits because climate change impacts their businesses or their economic autonomy. They are more aware of risks of getting a credit. Customize them. Take into account that Afro-community councils have collective ownership, and this creates barriers to access microcredits. The second project I want to highlight in Hamundi, implementing alternative energy systems with women to become a collective citizen-driven energy provider. Women were trained in the use and maintenance of these renewable energies, and we share with the bank these 3 lessons. Encourage the use of digital wallets for billing and payment of these energy services, but ensure that they have digital ambassadors that teach women how to use these digital products. Financial literacy is also important, as women in rural areas are afraid of banks. So maybe if you start with financial education, you can build trust and sustainability. Finance these energy community projects, because this enhances women's personal autonomy. They can use this energy they create to in their own businesses, but they also can generate additional sources of income and attract social impact investments. Next, please. And finally, the lessons that we learn and share with the bank and other actors to support the creation of products and services are: take into account the diversity of rural areas. There's no one silver bullet. These women and their dynamics are different, so take into account intersectionality. When designing financial products and services, consider a bottom-up approach instead of a top-down approach. Talk to the women, talk to the communities, understand their real needs. There's an opportunity to create active instead of reactive products and services. So there's a real concern in rural women communities about environmental conservation. So it is okay to provide microcredits, but also it's important to support green initiatives. Combine non-financial services, such as this type of research, with financial services to create better solutions, and engage actively with decision makers to create collaborative research-based solutions. We share these findings with the Banco W, but we also advocate on a national financial inclusion work group that we have created and lead with private sector and public sector actors. Because we care about financial inclusion of women, we make available for the FinEquity community the results of this research, 80 project research that we found. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was a fantastic presentation, and yeah, I must congratulate you on your timekeeping. It was just perfect. So without further ado, we're going to move on to our next speaker, who is Joyce Mlewa from Pula. She's the country director for Zambia, and she's the CCO, the Chief Commercial Officer at Pula. I want to remind everyone before we start this session, interpretation is available at the bottom, French and Spanish. So Pula is an agricultural insurance and technology company working across 14 countries in Africa. Joyce is going to discuss the human-centered design approach that they have used to create phygital, that's physical plus digital, agricultural insurance products for women in Zambia. So without further ado, I will hand over the microphone to Joyce. Can you?
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Catherine. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. At Pula, we develop parametric crop insurance solutions through products known as the weather index and the area yield index. These products cover climate risks that farmers face in the field, such as droughts, floods, locust attacks, any types of pests and diseases, and cyclones that cause systemic damage to the fields. The products that we have designed cover a range of about 22 crops, cereal crops such as maize, rice, wheat being 80%, and then other crops such as legumes, pulses, oilseeds, and sugar. With our products, Pula has been able to reach out to 9.1 million smallholder farmers and family farms. We distribute our products through partners such as governments, NGOs, microfinance institutions, and this is about over 100 of them. We also deliver these products through insurance partners because these are insurance products. We have over 50, about 67 insurers that we're working with globally, and about 22 global reinsurers that also take up this risk that the farmers face in the field. Through our products, we have been able to garner a premium of about 69 million with these partners and have managed to pay out about $25 million US dollars in claims. Next slide, please. In Zambia, smallholder farmers are facing climate risk issues. And these women have failed to adapt to financial tools to help improve their resilience. So, but in the year 202, the government of the Republic of Zambia introduced a program called the Farmer Input Support Program, whose objective is to improve the supply and delivery of subsidized agricultural inputs to these small-scale farmers. To date, I think this subsidy is covering over 1 million farmers, of whom 52% are women. I think we all know that the labor force in Africa, and particularly in Zambia, is engaged in, about 2/3 of the labor force is engaged in agriculture, and about 78% of this labor force is women. The challenges that these women are facing in Zambia in their fields are drought. Currently, we have huge droughts. The southern part of the country has actually been declared a disaster because the crop is submerged in water. So we have issues of also pests and diseases that women are facing. So the government, about 3 years ago, brought Pula on board as a technical partner to insurance companies to design a product that would speak to the issues that the farmers face in the fields. And this product is a hybrid insurance product, which is both a weather index insurance and an area yield index insurance product. This product also ensures that farmers receive a payout of compensation comprehensively, not just from weather effects, but also from the effects of the pests and diseases that affect the farmers. Next slide, please. We did a human-centered design study to help us understand the challenges that are being faced by the women farmers, and it was the common problems that even Mrs. Grasha-Masol talked about. When looking at the barriers women face when it comes to purchasing insurance, we learned that one of the key factors include the fact that they have very little information regarding insurance services, insurance payouts, or even the fact that they have maybe insurance companies in the areas where they are staying. This was highlighted through the evidence of low financial literacy compared to men. They have limited understanding of insurance and the benefits that would accrue to them. So what we did at Pula was to, based on the study and the results that we got, we designed a digital and more human engagement methods so that we could use this to raise awareness among the female farmers, to also help improve the demand through understanding agricultural insurance products for these women. Next slide, please. So this, we went across the country. We had the key results of the Pula digital approach was to stimulate women demand of agri-insurance products. We trained women across the country, about 300 farmer leaders. These women that are participating on this program, the Farmer Input Support Program, come from cooperatives. So we targeted to train the farmer leaders, the female farmer leaders, so that they could go back to their villages and share the information on insurance with the rest of the members of their cooperatives. We also shared out over 4,000 SMS, sent out over 4,000 SMS messages to farmers just to sensitize them, educate them on insurance, and over 200,000 SMSs were sent and successfully delivered to female farmers. We also sent out IVR messages, of whom 27,000 women were able to respond to. And these messages also were messages that were educating women about insurance, telling them what is expected, how we do assessment or loss assessment in the field. And if they had any questions, we also shared some numbers where they could reach out to our support desk so that we continue engaging with the farmers. Next slide, please. So before we went, after our HCD study, we had a baseline study which showed that building household awareness is key to long-term demand in any kind of insurance program. We did this through the combination of the tools that I've highlighted in the previous slides, including in-person training. So these are the comparisons that we were, or conclusions that we were able to deduce after the exercise. We found that comparing their responses at the start and at the end of the season, we found that at the start we had 47% of the women and the men had an idea of what insurance was. But after our interventions, by sending out SMS messages, the in-person training, there was an increase of about 31% awareness among the respondents, and 24% the male respondents, and at least 24% of the female respondents. So there was an increase of insurance awareness. Next slide, please. I think, well, okay. I think that's the end of my short presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joyce. That was very interesting. And there are a few questions in the chat. I think people are really interested in how you created awareness and built that physical plus digital understanding to really help clients really create resonance with the insurance product. Without further ado, I'm going to move on to our third and final speaker today. Lydia Baffour is a senior program manager at Opportunity International, and she's going to discuss Opportunity International's work in Ghana and the suite of products that women are using to battle climate change. Specifically, she'll talk about how they're building capacity and enabling women to respond and react to their changing environments. So without further ado, let me hand over the mic to Lydia. And just a reminder put your questions in the chat. After Lydia's presentation, we'll have a few minutes to take audience questions. Thanks.
Oh, hello. Good afternoon, good morning. It's really nice to be with you today. As Katie has said, I'm going to share with you our experience in Opportunity International in terms of designing products to address climate change challenges. Please, if you can go to the next slide for me. Opportunity International, we've been here for almost 50 years. We provide financial solutions and training to women and the poor in general. Our aim is to be able to help them to transform their lives and the lives of their families and the community. But today, the purpose of this discussion is to focus more on what we are doing to support women to combat the challenges of climate change. Our starting point, you may ask, is for us was more to listen and to learn from our clients because we cannot really address the issues that they are facing without really knowing what their issues are. So that was our starting point, and we've done a number of research work, but I thought for the purpose of today's discussion, I would just use one of the clients that we work with in Ghana just to highlight some of the challenges and the barriers that they face. Indeed, in 2016-18, we did a study with most of our farmers, and one of the key challenges that we asked them in terms of their farming activity is so happened to be weather-related challenges. That is what is affecting their farming businesses. So I thought I would start with the story of Mercy. If you can just buckle your seatbelt and just follow me to Ghana. Here is Mercy. Mercy is a farmer. She lives in northern Ghana. She kind of depends on the farming for her family. But unfortunately, she has, due to some of the sociocultural norms, she has limited access to land, not necessarily having access to properties that he can easily go to a bank to borrow from. Because of this, she's currently using old method of farming. So he's not getting the needed productivity that he needs from his farm. And as I said, he's in northern Ghana. Unfortunately, there were droughts. And so he's having the challenges which is affecting the crops that he's growing. So with all this in mind, how do we solve a problem like this? With Mercy representing most of the women farmers that we work with in Ghana. Please, if you can go to the next slide. Great. So from the research work that we did with the women, it came to light that as we've been hearing this morning and this afternoon, women do not necessarily need just one aspect of product. Depending on their circumstances, they need a full suite of financial services and products. And that is exactly what we did at Opportunity International. We helped them to provide an open savings account for them so that they can put some of the money aside for the rainy day. And I've put the story of Anna in Mozambique. A couple of years ago, there was a cyclone in Mozambique. She lost almost everything that she has. But when we went to visit Anna, her story kind of echoed most of the stories that we were hearing. That had it not been the savings that they have kept in the bank, they couldn't be able to start all over again. So it kind of emphasized the importance of savings and helping the women to put some of the money aside for that rainy day. And to make things easier for them, they do the savings through a number of means. Our job at Opportunity International is to take the banking to the clients, either through digital financial services or working through agents or opening bank accounts for them so they can, and also using their mobile phones so they can sit at the comfort of their home and use it to manage their finances. And of course, we cannot forget about the importance of loans. as I said, for Anna's situation, what we did was we provided her with loans that he can really invest in drought-resistant seed, especially in northern Ghana, where there's the challenges of having drought, buying irrigation facilities, and also even the ability to hire labor or to invest in energy savings tools that they can use in their farming activity. So if we can get that for Mercy, that is something that really helped her in managing the risk that she was facing. And we did not leave it there, because we know that some of these climate issues too, especially with weather related, sometimes it is just beyond our control. So what we did was to also pilot an insurance program. We partnered with Ghana Agricultural Insurance, and they provided them with a yield index insurance, such that in event that there is either too much rain or no rain, they will be able to get a payout to cover their program. And what we did in terms of the insurance, we did it in two ways. One of the ways was we were lucky to have a program paying for the premium for them. So we pay for the women to have access to the facilities, but we then needed to look for a long-term solution. So another method that we are trying to pilot is to bundle it with the loan product that we are giving to the women, so that as they take the loan, they will automatically have access to the insurance to cover them as well. Please, if you can go to the next slide. But one of the things that we've also learned is that it's not just enough to provide them with access to finances, but they also need a wraparound services. So training was a key component of the things that our clients were telling us they need. So we offer, for example, our agriculture clients, we offer them climate smart agriculture training, regenerative agriculture training principles that they can apply to be able to adapt to the challenges of climate change. We also provide them with weather information. So for example, in Ghana, we partner with an organization called Esoko, who provide weather information. So the client will be there in their village and they receive a text message or a voice message telling them that today is going to rain, so this is the time to plant your crop. Or marketing information. If you go to village B, the price of maize will be X amount, so the clients can make a more informed decision. So we are taking advantage of technology to be able to provide some of these solutions to our client. And of course, we cannot forget the importance of financial and digital literacy training, helping our clients to build more assets in the events like we had in Mozambique, where they can keep something aside for the rainy day. And most importantly, the last bit that we did, which I want to stress on, as we said, because some of the barriers that we've talked about has a gendered constraints. So it's really important that we address that. So one of the things that we try to do is to try as much as possible to tackle the issue of gender inequality head on. So we engage a lot in financial gender training, not just with the clients, but starting with our own institution as an organization. How do we mainstream gender into our operations? By starting to first understand the gender gaps, doing a lot of capacity strengthening within our financial institutions, starting from the board level to the management, to the people in the field, to really see the importance of really working with the women and making women part of the solution to the climate challenges that we are facing. And of course, when it comes to the household level too, we did not only work with the women and the gender training, but it was really important for us to engage with the spouses, the men in the community leaders, so that they more or less became the gender advocates within the community to help us to really tackle the issue of sociocultural norms that discriminate harshly against women. And of course, making the women themselves also being champions in the gender training that we did. So a combination of the financial services and the non-financial services were one of the solutions that we adapted. So what were the things that we are learning from it? If we can go into the next slide, please. So in terms of our learnings, I would say that it is really important as we are designing products and services for our clients. It can either make or break them. Mostly, it depends on how we design this product and how we deliver the products for them. One of the things that we've learned is that, for example, as women want to take much larger loans to be able to adapt and buy machines, for example, for their productivity enhancing activities, it becomes quite a challenge when it comes to the issue of collateral. So, for example, in Ghana, we try to pilot an alternative collateral to help women who want to adapt some of these climate skills and technologies that we've introduced. And I wanted to also emphasize for the second point that in as much as we've seen, especially from COVID time, that everyone is going to digital financial services, we also have to mind the gap, because our study in Northern Ghana, we realized that whilst maybe in the cities, you have a lot of women having access to mobile phones. When we did our research, more than 60% of the farmers that we were working with do not have any access to mobile phone at all. So as we tap into technology, we should know who we are including and who we were excluding. So opportunity, we invested in mobile phones and training and making sure that people actually trust the system, as we heard this morning. And finally, I want to leave us with a message that we cannot really address the issue of gender without really engaging with the men. For the success of our project, we learned that it was really critical that we engage the men in the design of the program that we are doing. I'll end here, and then if there's any question, I'll take it later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lydia. That was a really fascinating conversation or presentation. And I think that, you know, thinking about these three presentations as we were preparing, the thing that struck me is that, first of all, we know that women are not a monolith. Often we still continue to think about them as, or to talk about them as a monolith. And similarly, we often talk about climate as if it was a single experience, or, you know, it is just drought or it's just flooding. But actually, we know that from these presentations, that, you know, there's a huge diversity of women. There's no such thing as a single sub-Saharan African agricultural worker. And we need to get comfortable with living in the grey, or looking at sort of what we don't know here. There are so many different permutations of how climate can play out amongst different communities of women. And we've seen really three diverse, you know, experiences from different geographies, and the combination of products and services that are required to meet this reality, and non-financial services, as Lydia mentioned. So thinking about, you know, it's not just a it's not just a coffee farmer experiencing erosion. There are many different cases, and the products required are hugely diverse. So we really need to listen to the people who are experiencing these climate stresses. Before we move on to questions, I just want to note to everyone that we will be sharing all these slides after the event, and any questions we don't get to, we will address via email or a blog. And there is going to be a poll towards the end of this, so look out for that. We'd love you to fill it in. We've got a few great questions in the chat. I want to start with a question to Anna. How useful is it for the financial service provider to collect and use gender disaggregated data from the onboarding of and transactions with clients to design gender smart products? And great if you could keep your response to that brief.
Well, Katie, it's very important to have disaggregated data. I think at the end of the presentation, intersectionality is at the core of this designing of these products and services. And for example, we have in the country a national regulator that is every time more asking all these financial organizations that gather the disaggregated data and to report disaggregated data. And we, as I mentioned, we created a national financial work group. And here in this group, we have private sector, public sector, academia, and a lot of non-financial services organizations or NGOs. And here we design recommendations for the national plan for the national government. And the main issue here that we highlight was the importance of having disaggregated data and studies. So it is definitely important. Communities are different, ethnicities are different, so the solutions should be different, and you need evidence and data to create these solutions.
Excellent, thank you so much. And there's a question about, for Pula, did the farmers pay the insurance premium from their product, or was it subsidized by the government, by the government or any initiatives? I know that this has been answered in the chat, but I wanted to answer it for the interpreters as well. Maybe you can expand on that slightly, Joyce.
Yeah, thank you so much. The insurance premium is actually paid by the farmers. The government gets it from the deposit that the farmer makes, from the farmer contribution to the subsidy. So this comes from the farmers and not the government. So, but government just came up with a policy to ensure that the subsidy is insured. So it's coming from the farmers. What was the other question? Yeah.
No, that's great for now. And I wanted to ask Lydia sort of a question. There's been a theme through this of bundled services, products, bundling with inputs, advisory services or non-financial services. How have you seen, if at all, bundling demands evolve? And yeah, so the sort of the different combinations of financial, of the financial products to address these different challenges and needs, and the integration that Gracia Michelle spoke about.
Exactly. Thank you, Katie. I'll try and keep it short. By just quoting one of the clients that we've been working with about the importance of having financial education, and I quote, she said that money is like gun. If you don't know how to use it, you can shoot yourself. So we can give as much financial services to the clients as much as possible. But if they don't know how to really utilize the money, we want it to do good, but it might harm them. And I think all of us here in inclusive financial sector, our job is to do no harm to the clients. So as much as possible, we want to look at the whole ecosystem and see, as you rightly see from the story from Mercy, there's a number of barriers that she's facing, and they are mostly interlinked. So by just addressing one solution, it might not necessarily address the other issues that they are facing, because poverty is multidimensional. So that is why it is really important for us to integrate the financial services and also do the wraparound training services so that they can actually maximize the money that we are giving to them. And again, the clients tell us that the money that mostly, if you are giving lending, the money that we give to them, it is great, but it's just a catalyst. It is mostly the training services that we offer, is the social networking, is the business networking that really help them to really make good use of the money. In terms of bundling, for the example, the insurance product that we talked about, for example, we know that when you ask clients to do the premium, the payment of the premium upfront, it becomes quite a challenge for them, but it's much easier to integrate it into the loan product so that when they are paying for their loan, and mostly we give them chance to harvest their crops, sell the crops before they pay the loan. So they are more or less paying with their profit. But when it comes to the benefit, then they will have the benefit upfront. So that's why we bundle the products together.
Thank you so much. I have one final question, and this is for Anna, and this is from Ines Murray. Could you elaborate on the product solution apart from mobile wallets and microfinance? She would like to know more about the financing energy community products. And feel free to answer in Spanish. I should have said that earlier.
Las comunidades energéticas son
Energy communities, or communities that deal with energies, this is something relatively new in Colombia, but in Europe it's a little bit more known, well known. This is the generation of renewable energy in the communities, for the communities, and this is being sold, this energy. That means communities generate renewable energy as a business and can use that energy for their own enterprises. But if they exceed, if there is some surplus, they sell that energy. So this is energy administered by the community and also profitable. And when we are creating around this idea is the opportunity from investment funds that can have an impact into this kind of initiatives that are oriented into sharing the challenges of climate change, but also on prevention and support. And many of these communities, the leadership are women, and they solve the energy deficit that women suffer.
Thank you very much. With just a minute or two to go, I wanted to ask one more question to Pula, to Joyce. How are you designing tailored local insurance products where many borrowers might be struck with the same losses and require, have to pay out at the same time? Are you spreading this risk through global portfolios?
No, we are not. We're just bundling. Sorry, I saw that question. Let me just scroll to it.
So it's really asking about perhaps the first part of the question. Are you seeing a case where borrowers may be having to be struck by the losses and then be having to pay out at the same time?
No, we pay actually because the way we bundled insurance, I talked about the reinsurance support that we have. So when we get a risk, we also take it up with global reinsurers, so that where we have losses or from that portfolio, we have a set of reinsurance companies that come in and pay that loss. So the loss, we bundle risk according to the portfolio. We don't spread it out to other portfolios. So like for FISP, we have a panel of reinsurers that are on board, and in the event of catastrophic loss, these are able to pay the claims to the farmers. So I hope I've answered that question. I was looking for the question. I saw it in the chat.
No, that's great. Thank you so much, Joyce. And that really brings us to time. So thank you so much to our three panelists, Ana Escobar, Lydia Awuah, and Joyce Mlewa. I'm sorry, Lydia Baffour. Really fascinating conversations. We'll be following up with all of these slides so you can use them to refer back to, and a blog about this. So thanks again to everyone. I'll just point out that we're about to launch a poll. So if you could answer that would be really fantastic. But yeah, I wish you a great rest of the day and look forward to seeing you back here, hopefully tomorrow morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.